I'm not going to see you as less than a god or goddess. Just don't expect that of me, because you're not going to get it, because then I have to disconnect from my true self to do that. Same thing with any of these world leaders, we just see that what the heck are we doing putting people in positions like that? The more of us that connect, the less possible that will be.
All of this, I also think of Ukraine and, divinity, ego.
Right. Well, I am just going to comment on that a little bit. So we are humans, and we are human beings who often forget our divinity. And when things happen like war, and I won't say happen, it was someone's ego, separate self, many people's separate selves, deciding that they were going to engage in a place that they totally forgot who they are. And then other people get sucked into that. The reason why this material and these lessons are so important is because we are choosing where we place ourselves within the context of life on planet Earth. And I've lived one way where I watched the news and the headlines and had little kids, and I was afraid for them. And why the heck did I ever bring kids to this planet to live? And was constantly scared and had, absorbed from my mother that worry and then worry mother mode. When I started reading these lessons and things, I just couldn't imagine how you could talk about a perfect world when my eyes were so fixated on the imperfections. Now I understand, because the only way that I can explain this is I had a near-death experience. I went out into the heart of God and came back. Once I know there's no death. I know that's a total mistake that we humans are pretty much live by, that the only thing that's real is everybody dies. Yet it's like walking into another room that's more expansive and more connected. It's unbounded. And so we came here to live a limited experience that has the gamut of every experience available to us. And in that is everything from the horrific and the challengingly devastating to the most sublime. Can we be humble enough to be the ones who choose the sublime at every turn, to bring the sublime to the best of our capacity at every turn, and choose to see the horrific as the mistaken identities that people have, and instead see beyond that for them and in them and through them, that they have the core of them, the truth of them is also gods and goddesses. They just don't know. So when we approach life as the ones who bring those goddesses and gods to life in everyone, we see a much different story. There have been people on the planet that have shown up at war times, and Gandhi, Martin Luther King, people who have had an orientation of seeing and experiencing for themselves, had spiritual practices of whatever faith they were. And they were tethered to the truth and the divinity of them, to see beyond what the limitations humans adopt so readily, and to choose that way, that peaceful resistance, but to stay peaceful. You can't do this unless you're tethered. You cannot do this. You can't fix something from the challenge and the problem. What Einstein said, you cannot approach and receive a problem from the same place that the source of the problem is. So you have to be tethered to the divinity of you. And I promise, just because it is the way I see, and I was the most fearful person. I was very fearful and very disconnected and very defended. And to have overnight be a person that was capable of being around the most disconnected people and never again being able to believe in their stories, not in a disrespectful or dissociated way, in a very connected way that I just connect to who they truly are. I'm not going to see you as less than a god or goddess. Just don't expect that of me, because you're not going to get it. Because then I have to disconnect from my true self to do that. Same thing with any of these world leaders, we just see that what the heck are we doing putting people in positions like that? The more of us that connect, the less possible that will be. Got to remind them all who they are by being our own brilliant selves. That's all you got to do, is be your own brilliant self, and the rest, you can shine the light, and the light will be shining no matter what. Can't snuff it out.